And you start with the end of your story in mind. Is that every story, or is that just your new novel, Anybody Here Seen Frenchie, which is available now or soon will be a esteemed audience? Do you always
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. I'm excited to be here, obviously, wiggling in my chair a lot. You know, that was actually a little unusual for me to kind of hear the ending of a book that way. Well, and I didn't know exactly what it was I was hearing. And just for the audience, what I'm referring to is that, you know, this book began with a 3x5 card that I keep by the side of my bed. And just before sleeping, I came out of that semi-conscious state and wrote down two things, and knowing that if I didn't write them down, I would not remember them in the morning. And when I went back to them, I saw on the card that it said flapping and tweeting and a bowl in the earth, And it took me a little bit longer to realize that to me is an ending, and I've got to get on this journey now. So I've usually been kind of thinking about a situation, you know how sometimes we're asked, you know, what should you write? Should you write what you know? Should you write what you want to know? And my answer to that has always been, I write what I can't ignore. I figure if this thing sticks to me and I do it right, then it'll probably stick to the reader as well. And so if it's of interest to me, it will be of interest to the reader. So I trust in that blindly when I write. You know, I just say it has to be so, you know. And that's where the starts come from for me. Get the situation, and then that usually comes from some aspect of real life, because I mostly write realistic fiction. That's sort of my wheelhouse, my genre, middle grade as well. And so that's what I'm looking for. You know, I'm looking to kind of discover why some event or something I saw keeps sticking to me. What's the story that I've been inventing around it? And that's what gets me going. So yeah, with Anybody Here Seen Frenchie, it was a little unusual to have these two funny little fragments be the end. That's not always my process. I mean, do any of us ever have exactly the same process? I sort of doubt it. But I knew it did kind of make me realize what I was writing toward, and what does this mean, and why am I so attached to it the next morning? That kind of thing. So yeah, interesting.
It's funny, even when I've written sequels, the process is still not the same.
Good point. Yeah, this is something you know about for sure. Yeah, I do think.
Like it's not the same book, but it's the same characters, it's the same type of feeling. So why is this not going smoother?
Yeah,
figuring it out on the fly.
Yeah, because I think, like any of us, it's a whole new day. It's a whole new day for that character. Anything can happen. The troubles are new, new to them. And that's, I imagine with sequel writing, that's where you're at. I have done no sequel writing. I only think about my books later and wonder, and kind of imagine what the characters are up to. And I sort of leave my readers to do the same. So I have not written any series or any sequels. I've been asked to by the readers, but I think mostly my books stop and stand alone. I kind of admire those who can do sequels and who can do series. So I think I loved that when I would find that as a kid, but I haven't seemed to have been able to give that back. So
is that something that you have like on your writer's bucket list at some point, a series or at least one sequel that speaks to you?
I don't even have it. Not really. I think I kind of know now what it is I do, and I have almost, I've really never strongly considered writing a sequel. And I have a couple of stories that have ended where there's quite a bit that still could happen. It's sort of interesting how you look back and say, there's really a lot sitting on the table that could still happen, with that book. But most of them feel finished to me. And I feel like I just want, I love it when a kid will write me the next chapter after my final one. I love that sense of having left the reader with my job, leave the reader playing the part of the writer, which is, I mean, it's just a great skill to be able to. It means they're imagining. It means that things came to life for them enough that they think that there's a continuation. That's a really big compliment when a kid does that for you.
Oh yeah, that's tremendous. They're so involved in the world. They want to keep it going. And when that happens, I mean, obviously what's on the page is what's on the page, but you keep thinking about the characters afterward. Do you have some sort of definitive answers in the back of your mind after a book ends as to what happened next?
I bet I could probably tell you for each book, I would say. I think since we're writing middle grade, maybe you think about this too, is, the one place I won't leave us off is I mean, or I never intentionally leave us off, is with anything with a bleak feeling about it. There's always going to be hope at the end. There's always going to be a future that I've tried to, give glimpses of, where you get the sense of where this character will go. I like leaving them okay. I think that that's the most fair thing to do. And I don't know, who wants a drag of an ending anyway? If you can leave them with adventure, that, for series writers, I imagine that there still has to be sort of something unresolved. But I like to leave it where it's not wrapped up perfectly in a bow. And I don't think that things have to be, I mean, what's perfect anyway, but where you have a sense of hope and you can imagine, the good things for the character, who I've usually taken through quite a patch of hell before, but by the time I get them to the end of their story.